everybody, welcome back to our continuing coverage of all the goodies at Origins 2018. I am going to be now checking out this game Expedition with my friend here, Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hey.
You're going to be showing us how this all works. I see a phone out. It looks like there's app implications.
That's right.
What is going on? Tell me.
So Expedition is a card-based role-playing game. It uses an app to tell the story and also to handle the combat, so it actually streamlines the whole process.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with pen and paper,
I
sometimes
have heard of both of those things.
Combat can, pen and paper RPGs, of course. Combat can draw on it a little bit, right? You can spend hours fighting the same thing. That's not the intent here. This is kind of a D&D light of sorts. It's designed to be a bit more social, a bit more fast-paced, and a bit easier to pick up and put down. That's why the whole game is, a very small box. It's easy to take with you. So if you want, I can go into a bit more about how it plays.
Yeah, tell me how it goes. Yeah.
Cool. So to start off with, everyone puts their finger on the app, and that actually counts the number of adventurers. After which you select your quest. Let's choose this one here, since I know what it does, and it's pretty easy. You then, select your options. If you want to use multi-touch, you can. Otherwise, you're welcome to disable it. And then you get started. So starting up is actually super easy. You start off with an adventurer card. So, for instance, you can be the alcoholic diplomat, for instance.
Okay, I'm an alcoholic diplomat.
And I will be the idealist monk. We got a bit of a contention in the party here, apparently. Each adventure starts with a health tracker on 12.
Okay.
So you start with 12 health. And you'll also heal back up to full health after combat. So the game is not designed to punish you or anything.
Okay.
It's more of a way to get into storytelling and role-playing. You also start with starting abilities as well. So we'll just draw from these 4 decks here. I have 4 melee, 2 magic, so I will do that here.
So you draw that many cards of that kind?
Yep.
Okay.
And at that point, you're basically set up. You're good to go. So these are all of the abilities in your hand. Are things that you'd play.
These.
Correct.
So 3 music, 3 melee.
Yes.
All right. Very nice. I'll just leave those there so they can be read.
Sounds good. And so you'll notice that each ability card has a roll value right below the title and a target as well. So you'll have to roll at or above that value to succeed, during which the success value happens. Otherwise, you do nothing, you fail. Things may happen as well if you roll exceptionally well or exceptionally poorly, which is often the case. So watch out for that as well. Once you have your abilities and you have your adventure set up, you actually continue onwards. And then it actually goes into the story. So the way Expedition works is the community actually writes the quests and they publish it to the world.
Oh, wow.
We actually have about 100 quests so far, and each one plays anywhere from half an hour long to upwards of multi-hour sagas for the more prolific writers.
Okay.
So in each case, the writers will present some amount of roleplay text. You'll read that out aloud. You'll make a choice, depending on how you want to play the game, you can choose certain things.
Sure.
And then once you've made your choice, you pass it on to the next player, and they read the outcome of that choice, and then choose their own stuff and onwards, right?
So very much a choose-your-own-adventure style storytelling.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So in this case, what if we decide to attack some peasants, right? They fight back, right? The decisions have consequences, and that lands you in combat. So the way combat works is you'll be using your abilities, you'll be fighting against enemies, and so in this case we have 2 bandit enemies. We have 4 types here as well. Undead, Fey, and Beast are the other kinds. So we'll choose these enemies here. We have a veteran and an archer, and those each have their own health. So if you could help me out with that.
Yeah. So they start at full health?
Yep, start at full health. You'll also notice that each enemy has a surge ability. This is a thing that they play against you periodically.
Okay.
And there's also strengths and weaknesses. So in certain cases, enemies will be more susceptible to damage of a particular class.
Got it.
So now that we're all set up, hit the next button. And then, typical instructions would be you have your ability deck, you would shuffle that deck, you would pre-draw the top 3 abilities, and then you would start your timer. And so combat's a series of timed rounds. You start off with a timed area. You would choose your ability. Say I want to play Slam, and so then I put my finger on the app. You would also put your finger on once you chose your ability, and that would stop the timer.
Got it.
Cool. So you'll notice that went negative there. If you happen to take too long, there's a risk because it means that you might take more damage from enemies when they fight back.
Huh.
This is encouraging, some people that experience analysis paralysis, right, to play quickly, to keep going with the combat, so that way you can get back to the story as well, right?
Gotcha. Interesting.
Cool.
Okay, so once we've done that, we roll a physical die.
Yep, there's a physical die involved. So this is the resolution phase, totally untimed. You can take your time to do your thing. For instance, if I rolled a 6, my slam would not succeed. I would shuffle and then continue on to the next round.
Okay.
Suppose you rolled 17 on one of your cards. You would carry out the success effects. Roleplay if you want to, no pressure. And then you would deal damage to the enemies or buff your team or whatever the effect of the card is.
Now, once a card is mine, and I've used it, is it discarded? Does it cycle back? Will I get it again?
Yeah, so
there's
any
an
cards
element
that
of
you
deck building to this a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any card you play is discarded, and then you shuffle the remaining cards you didn't play back into your deck for the next time.
I see.
If you can't draw a card, clearly you shuffle your discards back in, and then you play from there.
Okay.
And as an outcome of combat, if you fight challenging enough battles, you will actually level up. In this case, it'll allow you to get rid of some cards that you don't want, to add in new cards that you do want. There's also other mechanics as well. So when you fight enemies, you get loot, and loot are essentially things that you can use at any time. So in this case, suppose we drew a Capsule of Fate. This would actually store a roll. So say we got a 13, and you can play that back later. So some loot have kind of chance-based effects there. Other ones are things that simply heal you or deal damage to enemies. It's really luck of the draw. So.
Okay, very nice. And like you said, there's a ton of content from the story aspect of the game because lots of people have written quests for it already. And
Absolutely.
This is something that is ongoing.
Yes, we do have new quests. They come out typically once a week.
Wow.
Very prolific writers, like a pretty large community as well. We do have contests, so if you're into writing and authorship, definitely take a look at those. There's some pretty sweet rewards.
That's amazing, yeah.
And also, your content's available to people around the world. We've had people both in South America as well as in Europe playing the game and translating. So look out for that as well.
Nice, cool. Now, is the game available already? Is it available right now?
It's in production now. It retails for $30. We're selling it at the convention here and also online at expeditiongame.com. We do also have an expansion as well. So that is this section of cards here. Again, gives you a new ability type, Influence, a new kind of mechanic called Persona, which lets you track kind of your character's character, for lack of a better word. So that can go up and down. You can spend points. You can accumulate
evil
points.
or good, that sort of thing. Virtuous or gullible in this case.
Yeah. And so as the game plays along,
of your personality.
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting.
Yep. As the game plays along, you can accrue points in Persona, and that gives you good outcomes. Or otherwise, you can spend points from your Persona. That can produce worse outcomes. But if you manage it correctly, that can get you out ahead as well. So
got it. Now, what's the player count on this?
So Expedition plays 1 to 6 players.
You can play solitaire, just follow the story, do everything yourself, up to 6.
Correct. And we're also currently working on a beta version of multiplayer. So if you have a copy of the game and a friend in another state or even another country has a copy of the game as well, you can actually sync your phones together and play the same quest.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's really neat. Very cool. So available now. Check it out. Like you said, you can get it here if you happen to be here. If not, expedition.com, you said?
Expeditiongame.com.
Expeditiongame.com. Check that out. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks very much.
Showing this off. It looks really neat. Yeah. Get your hands on it, everybody. And thanks for checking this out. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.